Good evening. I'm going to call the meeting to order for November 19, 2024, the city council meeting. And Madam Clerk, roll call and posting of the agenda.
Councilmember Basua.
Here.
Councilmember Madrigal.
Here.
Councilmember Perrello.
Here.
Councilmember Tehran.
Here.
Councilmember Valenzuela.
Present.
Mayor Pro Tem McDonald.
Here.
Mayor Zaragoza.
Here.
The agenda for this meeting was posted in the City Hall Bulletin Board on November 7th, 2024.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Our next item is the opening ceremonies, and I'm going to have Mayor Pro Tem lead us with a flag of salute to our flag. But before we do that, let me share something with you. We have a couple of items that we need a moment of silence. And with heavy heart, I'd like to share with you that Selena Arenas, who passed away at the age of 82 years old, is the mother of my staff, Marta Guillan and Luli Lopez. So I want to give, on behalf of the City Council, on behalf of the City of Oxnard, my sincere condolences go to the Arenas family. And Mr. Bert Perrella has Mr. David Hendricks.
I'd like to also honor Mr. David Hendricks. This gentleman, a terrific man, multiple decades, but he was also a personal friend. I knew David since third grade at Mesa School. We went through school together. I can remember sitting in the 8th grade class when JFK was assassinated and they told us on the radio. We transferred and we went to Rio Mesa High School. He was an excellent athlete. David could throw the baseball. He served our nation in Vietnam, suffered combat wounds, received a Purple Heart, came back home. He worked multiple decades for the City of Oxnard's Water Department. His wife, Aurora, and he raised 2 excellent sons, Chris and Star. And those sons were fortunate to have godfathers, Reno and Aldi. And he is a loss to me, and he's a loss to the community and his family. He was a good man. Thank you.
Thank you. So please stand. Mayor Pro Tem.
Please place your hand over your heart and join me in saluting the flag of our nation by saying, I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Okay, so we have a proclamation that, one more? Go ahead.
I apologize to the Hendrick family and to the population in general. One of the big things with David Hendricks, he was a Cherokee, a member of the Cherokee Indian Nation, and very proud of it. And I apologize that I forgot that. And thinking all of this, thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. So we, let me put this on. Testing, 1, 2, 3. I have a proclamation I'd like to call, this is Family Caregiver Month. I'd like to call Araceli Prisado and Thomas Castro and other folks from the SCIU 2015. Come up to the dais. All of you, come up, you know. See all the purple shirts out there. Come on. All the way around.
Either door works.
Let me put this. Okay, so who's going to receive it? You are? You are? You?
Sure.
Okay, who's going to receive that? Let's form a circle. We got a couple more on this side. Estelon, thank you. Good. Okay, buenas noches. Proclamation 2024 Family Caregiver Month. Whereas more than 65 million family caregivers in the United States demonstrate their courage and care every day by providing some form of in-home care or a parent, grandparent to a grandparent, child, aunt, or uncle. Whereas in-home caregivers not only provide vital care to those in need, but by doing so, save taxpayers millions of dollars each year when compared to more costly tax-funded institutions' care. Whereas the work of the home caregivers often goes unnoticed due to financial struggles caregivers and their families experience in order to provide life services for those in need. Whereas the number of families and non-family members requiring in-home care dramatically increases as the number of applicants, Americans, reach 65 years of age and older, and it is expected to double within the next 30 years. So in order to meet the future demands of caregivers, we must ensure stable workforce and recognizing today the importance of contributions and in-home caregivers, bringing those caregivers to our communities and the society as a whole. Now therefore, John C. Zaragoza, Mayor of the City of Oxnard, proclaim November 2024's Family Caregiver Month in the City of Oxnard and encourage the residents to acknowledge the essential work and contributions in-home caregivers bring to our community, and to recognize the hard work, dedication, and courage to care for those homes, those people, caregivers, amplifying every single day and caring for both family and non-family members. And this is really phenomenal because I know really, really hard work. I know it's hard when you have an individual that you have to put in bed, take them out, bathe them, and so forth, and feed them. And I think it's extremely important that we thank you guys for that. And Araceli, you want to share a couple of words? Okay.
Susie. Thank you very much. On behalf of almost 9,000 caregivers in the Ventura County, we would like to thank you for the acknowledgement, and we really appreciate it. Thank you, everyone.
Okay.
Yeah, on behalf of our IHSS workers here in Ventura County, means a lot to being recognized as, per se, like Alara say, they work in the shadows because they work at individual homes. They don't see each other every day. They don't, connect a lot with their coworkers. So being recognized means a lot because they take care of our most vulnerable population, which are seniors and people with disabilities. So thank you so much for taking to recognize them. And thank you, Councilman Arthur Valenzuela, for really putting this up front. Thank you.
Thank you. You want to introduce your folks?
Yeah. So digan su nombre.
Martina Ávila.
María Álvarez.
Lourdes Pillado. Alejandra Ávila.
Margarita Contreras.
María Ramírez.
Susie Valencia.
Olga Lidia.
Elisa Ramírez.
Juan Solano.
And again, I want to thank you so much. I've had, when my mom was very ill, she's almost 97 years old, the caregivers really helped her tremendously, which I really, really appreciate what you do. Hard work, dedication, and you provide that service at a minimal cost to a lot of people. In fact, in some cases, you don't charge at all, correct? Yeah. So thank you so much. Put your hands together for this, folks. This is really, really good work. Thank you so much. And again, and thank you to the 9,000 plus caregivers here in Ventura County. Muchas gracias por estar aquí esta noche. Thank you so much. Sí se puede. Thank you so much. We can go this way. Thank you. Te agradezco. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Nice seeing you.
Igualmente. Thank you. Thank you. Gracias. Thank you. Thank you to the caregivers. Thank you so much for being here tonight. Thank you. Our next item is public comments, not on the agenda. I understand, Madam Clerk, that we have Mr. Kennedy that wanted to speak. Is he still on?
Yes, Mayor. Grant Kennedy is virtually.
Okay.
Grant, can you press star 6 to unmute? And you have 3 minutes, please.
Hi, good evening. This is Grant Kennedy. Thank you for allowing me to speak. I'd like to just take a second to introduce you to my client, Elsa Wright. She owns a property at 730 East 5th. And I want you to know she is not to blame for the red tagging. she had a problem with her prior tenant. She bought the building, and she had a horrible problem with him. She's suing him now for the mess he left. She's a victim too. She's trying to get the property cleaned up. She's applied for the permit. She's been waiting a year. And the one thing I want you to pause and think about, if you would, is if you've ever been in a situation walking to a grocery store or restaurant or anywhere, and there's nobody there to be responsive to your needs. And I want you to think about how you react. What do? Do you get upset? Do you yell at somebody? Do you get nasty? What do you do? I mean, this happens all the time in life, right? Well, not all the time, but it does happen. Now, she's kind of in this situation where she's been waiting a real long time, and every time she applies, admittedly, the first person that applied for a permit messed it up. We know that. And she's a victim of that too. She's just trying her best to get this property repaired. And every time she goes by there, somebody looks at it and then sticks it under a pile for 2 months because I think they don't like the fact that it was red tagged before, and that was not her fault. It was not her fault that the person she hired at first, who works in the city of Oxnard, was completely incompetent. We're trying to get it fixed. And a year is a long time to wait. Now, I want you to think how patient we've been, and I want you to think about how you would be if you were in a restaurant or a bar or anywhere and you're kind of feeling like you've been mistreated by the people who are there to take care of you. And I want you to think about this. Every month it costs her money because she can't rent that. She's got tenants who are renting. So I'm saying, for the love of God, please have mercy. Please get this done for us. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, any other speakers virtually or in person?
Mayor Zaragoza, there's no additional speakers virtually or in person for this item.
Thank you. Our next item is item E. This is a report of the city manager. No,
Nothing to report tonight.
nothing to report. Thank you so much. Then our next item is item E. This is the city council. This is sort of time for any members of the city council that might have any brief announcements under reports or activities, or also if they'd like to have anything placed in future agendas. And we have 3 minutes. We'll start off with Councilmember Teran.
Thank you, Mayor. Just some very brief reports here. We have a number of things happening in District 2 that I think are worth pointing out. For those who don't know, and I don't know if it's included in the weekly packet, but there is a monthly update for 311 calls specific to illegal dumping. And consistently, we see the same 3 districts in the kind of top 3 there, District 2 typically being at the top or within the top 3. And I like to tell folks that I don't think that any of these 3 districts have any more or less illegal dumping than other districts do, but I think we have some really great engaged residents who, when they see it, they report it and it gets taken care of right away. So I just wanted to point that out. I hope that's something that folks are paying attention to and getting access to, so that you can see that your reports for illegal dumping are actually landing with the city. So please continue to use the 311 app for any number of functions it has, but that's certainly one that has been successful. I also just want to share that in the upcoming month, between now and the end of this month, I should say, there are no District 2 neighborhood council meetings that are scheduled, but that does not mean that you can't talk to your neighbors about things that are happening, and I encourage folks to continue to do so. And if there's any issues that come up, there have been these things that have popped up, please feel free to reach out to me anytime, gabe.teran@oxnard.org. And that is my report. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councilmember Madrigal.
Thank you very much. As with, changing of seasons and time as we get to winter time, by all means, please, let all of us know in case, park lights are out or anything out in the open. I know I did receive an email just this afternoon concerning some of the lights at the parks, but by all means, anything does happen, please reach out, residents. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Councilwoman Basua.
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to take a moment and say how grateful I am. Next week, we'll be celebrating Thanksgiving, and it's a time to give thanks. And I just want to take a second to reflect on the many blessings that we have all had this year. And I want to thank staff because they're a blessing to the city. They, on a daily basis, wake up. We have our infrastructure that we're working on. We have sewer, water, trash. Sometimes we take those things for granted. So I want to thank staff for all the hard work that they've done. And I wish them a happy Thanksgiving along with all of you. I hope you guys have a great time with your families. And if anybody doesn't have anywhere to go, they're more than welcome to come to my mom's house.
What's your address?
Yeah. Send me an email, and I'll be more than happy to share that with everybody. But with that, happy Thanksgiving to everybody.
Thank you. Mayor Pro Tem?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'll do my best to be brief. I'll echo what Councilwoman Basua said. Happy Thanksgiving all, and I'm good.
Okay. Councilman Perrella?
Thank you very much. I can't top the Mayor Pro Tem on that. Number one, Thanksgiving is coming up, and no matter how often you may find yourself, upset about something else, be aware we're very fortunate to have what we have, even if you don't have a lot. And be aware also that at this time of the year, as some of us are a little more dressed up, you'll see somebody early in the morning sleeping on a concrete, having had the privilege of doing that in the past when it was cold, not because I was homeless. When you see somebody sleeping on the concrete, a lot of people think, well, the guy's warm. If you've ever slept on cold concrete, you find out real fast how hard it is to stay warm. Keep these people in mind. Recently, I was fortunate enough to attend the Veterans event. Tremendous turnout from the population, very impressive turnout from the population. I want to thank the City of Oxnard for working to assist the residents in the harbor with respect to the abandoned boat. I want to thank Food Share for what I saw this last weekend at Food Share. And I commit to the council that's here and the incoming council. The individuals that receive food from Food Share, the assumption is they deserve it. I do not wish to challenge any of the individuals receiving food that they don't deserve it. Oftentimes you'll go through and you'll see cars, very expensive model cars, and people can make assumptions. I've made those assumptions. But that's a different story. You never know what's inside a person's situation. But I promise this council and every council coming forward, the issue of people that live in housing that the City of Oxnard helps provide that are not entitled to it, I will work on that to get that addressed. That cannot stand in the city. The utilities have been cut off recently at the library. I'm hoping that we can work on that and have a little bit better work with the contractors. The fire at Brecky School, I hope someone comes forward and tells, if they have any information of who set the playground equipment at Brecky School on fire. The individuals, my hat's off to all the individuals, winners and losers, that put themselves out to run an election process. It's not easy to do that, and my hat's off to them. A lot of people give a lot of lip service to a lot of views. Very few people enter the ring to find out what happens. Winners and losers, my hat's off. That's what America's all about. Thank you very much. Happy Thanksgiving.
Thank you. Councilman Valenzuela.
Thank you very much. This past Wednesday, I was able to join South Oxnard leaders at the South Oxnard Center. We got a lot of public members got input and a plan on what the first phase of the Ormond Beach Restoration Plan is going to be. I think folks were very excited with potential new onlookings and the capability of checking out our local wildlife at the in South Oxnard. So I was very happy to see that work that I believe Annie Jensen, the State Coastal Conservancy, and the Nature Conservancy will put into it. And also this Friday, there will be a House Farm Workers Forum. Looking forward to that as well. And also, I think I'll just state this because I've had several community members approach me in the past couple days, a little concern over the federal election results and how folks are scared for their families with the potential for being deported or feeling unsafe for their identity. I'm hoping for that if our council cannot do this by December 3rd, the next council can move forward on this action to protect our residents here in Oxnard. Thank you.
Thank you. And I also, I know a council member mentioned that we had a great Veterans Memorial event here at Plaza Park Memorial Day. You know, we had a parade. The parade was really great. And I just want to thank the committee, for putting that together again. Martha Guion, Lily Lopez, Manuel Gonzalez, Sal Gonzalez, and quite a few other individuals that helped us put that memorial together. And I think it was great. My understanding, we had several hundred people there this Memorial Day, so I want to thank him for that. And also it's going to be a very happy Thanksgiving for us. I have 5 grandchildren, and one of my grandchilds is coming from Fort Worth, Texas for the holidays, and she's getting ready to graduate from the University of Texas, and she'll be joining us for Thanksgiving. She'll be coming here next week. My daughter has moved back to Oxnard from Texas after 35 years. She retired from the FAA, and my granddaughter will stay behind, but then she's coming over and then going back again. So, but anyway, it's going to be a nice Thanksgiving, and happy Thanksgiving to everybody too. Thank you so much to all the staff and all our city employees. Thank you. So our next item is item H. This is the public comments on the consent items. Do we have any speakers on the consent? We have 9 items.
Mayor Zaragoza, there are no speakers virtually or in person for this item.
Okay, council members, we have 9 items. Any concerns or?
5 and 6.
5 and 6, Mayor Pro Tem, 5 and 6. Go ahead.
No, he may you.
Okay.
You, 5 and 6.
Yes, on item 5 and 6, and it's just simply a question with current events. A terrifically brand-new park with rubber flooring to prevent kids from getting hurt when they fall down was set on fire at Brecky in the West Village neighborhood. To my knowledge, we don't have any suspects identified. But we are going to approve the replacement projects at 2 parks, Marina West Park and Pleasant Valley Park. I am in support of this, but is there an opportunity to do something that maybe these things are not as easily flammable, or maybe we do something, because the amounts of money that we're going to spend, $262,000 at one and $332, is not insignificant. And the damage that was done by some idiots in our community was significant. And the park is going to be out of action for quite some time. And it's just not a good thing for our city. So I'm wondering if there's something we can respond to that.
You want to share some information on that?
Honorable Mayor and City Council members, Steve Hallett, Assistant Public Works Director. I've been overseeing playgrounds for about 35 years now, and this is the worst damage I have ever seen. Playgrounds are not normally flammable. I have seen, anytime there's a rubber surface, this is one of the things I bring up every time someone requests putting a rubber safety surface down. Every time I've put one down, there's an area that gets melted. People like to see if they can melt the rubber. I don't know. I've also seen it on park slides and other structures, but I have never seen the damage that we've had at Brecky Park. So there was definitely some sort of propellant or something that caused that damage to go that extensive. It's not like an open flame can cause that much damage. There was other factors involved, and police and fire could probably answer more to what their findings were. But as for the safety of playgrounds and the flammability, they are not flammable by nature.
Thank you. Is there, a little bit off subject, is there a reward for any information for the people that did this? Or is there a thought of that, or maybe the council
Chief,
can
do we have any?
figure that out?
Let's see if the chief has any additional information on that.
There hasn't been a reward offered for that specific investigation. I know there was a fire investigator that went out that day to look at it, and his report is still pending. We do have investigators from the police department that are working with the fire investigator to look and see if there's any ring camera video or any video from the school itself that may identify a specific suspect. But at this time, the suspect has not been identified in that that case.
Okay. Is there any thought possibly of a reward system?
It definitely is something that could generate someone to come forward with some information if they were either present or witnessed it, or if they go back and check their video and see that they do have something on video. So it's definitely something that could be considered.
Okay, thank you very much.
Chief, you said we have videos on that part?
We're checking to see if there's any video
if
from
there
the
is.
area right now. At this time, we have not located any.
Thank you. Okay, item 6? Same, okay, thank you. Any other items? And if not, we need a motion for all 9 items.
I will move the recommended action.
Moved by Basua, second by Councilor Turan. Roll call. First Basua, second Madrigal.
I have a first by Councilmember Basua and a second by Councilmember Turan. Is that correct?
Madrigal.
Madrigal, thank you.
It's fine.
Thank you. Councilmember Basua?
Aye.
Councilmember Madrigal?
Aye.
Councilmember Perrello?
Yes.
Councilmember Turan?
Yes.
Councilmember Valenzuela?
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem McDonald?
Aye.
Mayor Zaragoza?
Aye.
Thank you. Motion carries 7-0.
Thank you. Okay, so our next item is this reports. Let me see. And let me back up over here. This is from the Housing Department. Subject, approval of the Downtown Oxnard Improvement Association Annual Work Plan and Budget for Fiscal Year 24-25. Recommendation that the City Council approve the Downtown Oxnard Improvement Association Annual Work Plan Budget for Fiscal Year 24-25. As of the date the City Council agenda has been posted, there is not yet an outcome from the November 12, 24 Community Service, Public Service, and Housing Development Committee. Staff is available to answer any questions. And this is, again, was a Measure M pre-recorded item. And we have Mr. Emilio Ramirez. Mr. Ramirez, we do have a speaker. You want to hear the speaker first on this item?
Sure.
Mr. Reverend Greg Runyon.
Good evening, Council, Mayor. Thank you again for reminding me. I'm here to talk about this specifically, but somebody mentioned just to all of you that have invested in our community and served our council, just hats off to all of you. So Councilmember Valenzuela and Councilmember Madrigal and Councilmember McDonald, thank you so much for all that you've done. And Mayor Zaragoza, thank you. And it makes our community stronger. And I got up here, I've known Emilio off and on for, 3-4 years. And I just want to tell you all that his passion for our community is unparalleled. And one of the things I think that happens a lot of times is when there's a change in leadership, people began to lean on what their demands are versus what somebody's expertise is. And so these reports and this work that Emilio has done, I cannot tell you, I don't want to speak out of turn, but his staff, I was at a meeting today with a community member. His staff is amazing, and the amount of work that they put in behind the scenes and the amount of time that they volunteer to do to help our community. So these reports that he does, I mean, so many times we think of the big things, the homeless thing, where it's in the paper and you hear all these things and there's a lot of press. That's just a small part of what they do. So I really hope with reports that come in and things like that, you just don't read the report. You don't just watch the video. Take some time, go talk to Emilio, talk to his staff, get a sense for what they're doing, because their connection to our community is hugely important. And I think sometimes we overlook the people we serve. And, sometimes the people are the loudest who get the most attention, but sometimes we need to look for the ones that are the quietest. And those are the folks that Emilio and his staff help. So I just wanted to take a moment to say that. Thank you.
Thank you. Any additional speakers on this item, Madam Clerk?
Mayor Zaragoza, there are no additional speakers virtually or in person for this item.
Thank you. Emilio, you'd like to give us additional information on this item?
Thank you, Mayor Emilio Ramirez, Housing Director. Thank you, Reverend. This is a recurring item. There isn't anything unusual about it, except that this year DOYA has renewed and has expanded the area that they're serving. So that is the primary difference. It's not that big of an area of an expansion, but it is an expansion. Today is in front of you is their budget that must be approved or considered by council before the 1st of December, because DOYA's fiscal year starts on December 1st and goes through November of next year. You're looking at a budget of $578,000 with a total revenue expected to be $610,000. There's a work plan that is attached to it. It includes 3 working committees, including civil sidewalks, district identity, and land use, also administration organization. Those are all in the staff report in the package, and were included in the measure and video. I know Abel is here, and the housing staff is also here, and we're happy to answer any questions that you may have.
You know, I know this subject came before, and I just want to commend Abel and your staff, you know, for the potential starting the cleanliness of downtown. You know, as I mentioned before, you know, as I'm driving in the morning, I see Abel's people out there with a little broom, you know, sweeping away every morning, and as I mentioned before too, you know, one of the things that my wife likes to go to the movies, you know, and now she, after coming downtown and it's nice and clean, and it looks real safe. I'm sure it is to some degree, like any other place. She now likes to come over to the theater here and maybe have some to eat in downtown. But I just want to commend, you know, Abel and his people and you for the excellent work you've been doing downtown. And of course, it's not perfect. We have to work on it. But I just want to commend you for that.
Thank you, sir. On behalf of Abel, who's
And
here,
yours,
and my team,
thank you,
who's
Abel.
also here.
Council members, any other, Councilman Tehran?
Thank you, and thank you, Mr. Ramirez and Mr. Magana. Just 2 quick items here. Appreciate the information from the staff report and from the presentation. Because the public's prohibited from seeing the live presentation tonight, just so that we can have some transparency in it, I would hope that we can just talk real quickly about, aside from the organizational and administrative costs, it looks like some of the larger expenditures would be in the program for civil sidewalks and for district identity. And I'm just hoping we can give a very high-level overview of what those activities entail, those operations, so folks know when they see that in the downtown area that this is what is happening, what's occurring. So can we just get a summary on those items?
Sure thing. I actually will ask Abel if he can offer that summary.
Thank you.
Abel, welcome.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. Thank you for that question, Councilman Tehran. So with regards to district identity, that's all about providing a active downtown, vibrant, and we do that through image enhancement, which includes marketing, promotions, special events that we produce and that we partner with other organizations to keep the downtown lively and make it a community gathering place, a place that people have a sense of identity for the whole community in there. Civil sidewalks, yeah, that refers to our Clean and Safe program. We have a crew of day porters that go throughout the downtown on a daily basis, sweeping the curb line, pressure washing, and removing graffiti and all manner of those kinds of things, just to keep it clean, provide a nice environment, welcoming environment. And then we also partner with Oxnard Police Department to provide private security, which is also 7 days a week patrolling the entire area, to also, again, give the basis of it. It's the foundation of all the work that we do, is to provide a clean and safe and then an attractive environment active through those district identity activities.
Thank you. And just to be clear, the security is a private security firm or is it the Oxnard PD that provides those services?
I'm sorry, excuse me?
It's a private security firm that provides the
Yes.
security? Okay.
Yes.
Just so it's clear, it sounded like it was Oxnard
Yes.
PD. You want to be clear that that's
They
in
sub-
partnership with them for security at the downtown area. They work closely with the security firm, it sounds like.
Correct. It's observe and report type of activity.
Yeah, thank you. And the last item, last question I have is for the operations around land use, there was no amount budgeted for that. If you wouldn't just mind explaining or summarizing what land use is and how it's done. Even though there's no identified funding for it, you do the activities anyways. So if you wouldn't mind summarizing those.
Correct. It's even though there's no budget number associated with it, it is actually provides a very vital service in terms of assisting in terms of business recruitment. We take a look. We do studies in terms of vacancy rates. We look at opportunities and gaps in the merchant mix, and we actively recruit new businesses. We weigh in on new development policy issues also too. So if a new developer wants to come in and put together some housing projects, wherever too, we'd like to weigh in on those projects. Also provide a little bit of advice in terms of what fits best in the downtown environment.
Okay, great. Thank you. Those are my questions, Mayor. Thank you both.
Thank you, council members, Councilmember Madrigal? No? Then we need a motion this, Bert? No additional speakers on this item, right?
That's correct. No additional speakers.
Thank you, Mayor.
Go ahead.
I appreciate the cleanliness, but I think we need to be it's our community, and there are residents in our community that leave messes behind where you have to clean it. And it's not just for the looks, it's a health issue. People leave human waste behind in certain areas. The other point that I'd like to bring up, our elected treasurer, in my mind, continually puts out zingers against our staff. And he has put out one again against Housing Authority. Can we get a clarification? Do the budgeting of this, is it fiscal or calendar year? Because I want to know, and I do think that the gentleman has a right. He's an elected official, just like I am. The gentleman has a right to express his opinion, but when he's found wrong, I hope he has the courtesy and the decency to admit the mistake.
Council member, the DOYA's fiscal year is from December 1st to November 30. And there is an agreement between the city and DOYA that we will consider their budget and their work plan prior to them adopting the budget. So it comes before council during the month of November, such as today. And in an effort to provide the cities, the council's direction, advice, opinion on the work plan, on their budget, so that they can then adopt it beginning their fiscal year. That's why it's not the 1st of January or the 1st of June, because their fiscal year goes from December 1 to November 30.
It's basically a calendar year.
It's almost a calendar year, yes.
Yeah, thank you.
I want to thank you very much, and I appreciate the work that you're doing and the Housing Authority is doing, your staff back there. And again, I forget the names of the individuals, but you should be recognized. You're doing a good job for the city of Oxnard in a very stressful situation. Thank you very much for your work.
Thank you.
Ashley?
And just to follow up, because the email from the elected treasurer also went on to ask further questions about our disbursement of funds to this group. And the email that was sent out on that is actually a screenshot from January of 2024, meaning it was from our last budget. So we have not dispersed funds to the agency DOYA this year. However, that is approved in your June 2024, and that action that you took, there are funds that would be distributed to DOYA. That is also part of why we ask for your input on their work plan, because as a city and the properties that we own in downtown, we pay into that assessment, and that's really why we have this partnership with them as well. So I just want to make that clear that funds have not been distributed. Funds will be distributed. Those are approved in your budget, and the funds that are being scrutinized currently are for the previous fiscal year.
Thank you for the explanation. Thank you. You need a motion on this item?
Thank you.
Moved by Mayor Pro Tem, second by Councilman Perrello. Roll call.
Councilmember Basua?
Aye.
Councilmember Madrigal.
Aye.
Councilmember Perillo.
Yes.
Councilmember Tehran.
Yes.
Councilmember Valenzuela.
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem McDonald.
Aye.
Mayor Zaragoza.
Aye.
Thank you. Motion carries 7-0.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ramirez. Okay, item number 2, this is Public Works Department, subject agreement 325000183 with GH Engineering Incorporated for owner's engineering professional services for advanced water purification facility improvements and expansion of the aquifer storage and recovery / injection well field project specification, number PW 24-119. Recommendation the City Council approve and authorize the mayor, number 1, to execute an agreement with GHD Engineering Incorporated for the amount of $5 million from December 1, 2024 to November 31, 2029 for the owner's engineering professional services for advanced water purification facility, AWPF improvements and expansion project and the aquifer storage and recovery, ASR / injection well field project, specification PW 24-119, and 2, project budget appropriation of $3,500,000 for the AWPF improvements and expansion project C 2023, and $1.5 million in aquifer storage and recovery ASR injection well / injection well field project C 2551 for a total of $5 million from the wastewater impact fee 603 available fund balance, and as well as the corresponding water capital fund 602 transfer in appropriation in the same amount, and 3, project budget appropriation of $750,000 from the water WIFIA fund 607 and $478,877 from the water resource fee fund 606 and the AWPF improvement and expansion project C 2023, as well as the corresponding water capital fund 602 transfer in / appropriation in the same amount. This item did not originate in committee. This is a capital improvement project specifically listed in the capital improvement project, which was previously approved by the City Council. And there was a Measure M pre-recorded item, and we do have Mr. Wilford Temu. Any questions on this item? Councilman Perillo?
Yes, I support the advanced water purification system. The action that council's years past put in this, the funding source, the ability to benefit from something that's a precious resource, water, wastewater turned to potable water, and hopefully we can pump it out of the ground. The reason that I asked the question that I ask now, for those that will be new coming on this council, a tremendous amount of money has been put into this project from the initial shovel breaking of this land. But with the potential for litigation that are going on that could prevent us from extracting water out of the ground, I support this, but I would like to get some sort of a comment with respect to what are our feelings with respect to will someday we be able to use the water that we are going to potentially put in the ground.
Michael?
For our city's use.
Good evening, Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, Council members. Michael Wolf, Director of Public Works. Just clarification that the lawsuit is the adjudication. I'm assuming that's your question. So we are currently in a lawsuit or an adjudication for groundwater rights or the groundwater rights in the basin. And at its essence, our aquifer storage and recovery project and beginning at our AWPF is a process by which we will take wastewater, treat it, bring it to a site, put it into the ground, let it sit for a certain amount of time, and then pull it out as drinking water. It's not a new process. It's called indirect potable reuse, or IPR. It happens lots of places in California and around the world. The question about whether or not the adjudication will somehow impact that, and part of that answer is, if you look at most of the adjudications that have happened in groundwater basins, one of the phases is a physical solution phase. And in that phase, we typically have these kinds of projects. So I can't say for certainty what will or will not be impacted by an adjudication, a final determination through the adjudication process, or even maybe a one doesn't go through the judge, but may be done outside the lawsuit process. I can't speak to exactly how it may impact it, but I will say that most of the time, a physical solution is required in this process, and these kinds of projects are at the forefront of those physical solutions.
Once the project's started, we're not stopping halfway to find out what happens with litigation.
Correct.
Because that
Now-
would not be best business practices.
Right, so just one more clarification, that projects that are on the council agenda tonight is not the pilot project that's already
Correct.
under construction. So the projects that we're talking about tonight are the subsequent projects that we want to do, or that the GREAT program has laid out 20-some years ago. Additional aquifer storage and recovery projects, additional storage projects, improvements to our AWPF over time. So those are the projects that are on tonight, and those should continue to go forward in order for us to have, in my opinion, reliability and sustainability with water, regardless of the adjudication process. As most of you have heard us talk about during the rate process for water, our groundwater is our least expensive water. It costs us the least amount of money to extract, treat, and distribute that than it does to potentially buy water from Cayugas through the State Water Project. And so it's a very important resource for us, from not only just a sustainability as a community, but also from keeping our rates as low as possible.
That's the only question I had. Mr. Beeman and Mr. Wolf, thank you very much.
Michael, quick question. I know in the past, we've talked about maybe getting assistance from Cayugas and the ASRs, to potentially add more. Where are we on that? Any idea of will the Cayugas and Metropolitan help us in the future with? Because in the past, we always considered the ASRs as banks, accounts for future water needs.
Right, so part of the ASR, the IPR process, is we're gonna have to work with Fox Canyon Groundwater Management Agency. And we're gonna be looking at them to work with us and other agencies. I know that Cayugas is also looking at the desire to bank water in the basin, right? So IPR at its essence is banking water into the basin and pulling it out later for beneficial use. And so the relationship that we have with Cayugas and some of the desires that they have are similar to ours in terms of wanting to put water into the basin and pull it out at a later date. And they've done that in the past. In fact, they've worked with Oxnard. I can't remember, it was in the 1990s or early 2000s. They've done that in the past. And so it's not a proof of concept because it's been done in the past. Now, as Councilmember Perrella mentioned, the adjudication brings in this sort of curveball, if you will, into that process. So I would say that Cayugas has a very common goal to us in terms of banking water in the ground, and they're supportive of our process as we move forward.
And I think that's a good program, that we should follow that.
Right, so Cayugas could buy additional state water project water and bake it and put it in the ground, where our source of water may be AWPF and indirect potable reuse. Cayugas may decide to purchase additional state water project water or other water that comes available at certain times of the year or during certain events, like last couple of years where it was very, very wet years. And so they have the opportunity to purchase additional water. And then it becomes where do they store it? And a lot of places, if you look at a lot of basins across Southern California, there is different programs that have the banking of that water in the basin. So it's not an uncommon process.
Smart. Thank you, Michael.
I would also just like to thank, I see her in the audience, Ms. McCarron, the city attorney, for the help in this project too. Thank you.
Very much so. Need a motion on this item? We call for speakers. No speakers?
Mayor Zaragoza, there are no speakers for this item.
Thank you. Okay, first by Perrella.
Second.
Second by Madrigal. Roll call.
Councilmember Basua?
Aye.
Councilmember Madrigal?
Aye.
Councilmember Perrella?
Yes.
Councilmember Teran?
Yes.
Councilmember Valenzuela?
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem McDonald?
Aye.
Mayor Zaragoza?
Aye.
Motion carries 7-0.
Thank you. Okay, our next item number 3, is Public Works Department. The Public Works Agreement 325000227. Let me start over again. 325000227 with KY Services LLC for design to build of the Oxnard Tennis Court specification PW 23-70. Recommendation City Council approve and authorize a total of $1,453,263.30 for the project fund design build of the Oxnard Tennis Court specification PW 23-70. And number two, the mayor to execute an agreement with KY Services LLC in the amount of $1,397,367.30, and a project contingency amount of $27,948, 2% with KY Services LLC, for a total not to exceed the value of $1,425,315.30 for the project. And three, project allocation amount of $27,948, or 2% for engineering inspection, survey, and project management for the project. This item did not originate in committee. It is a capital improvement project specifically listed in the Capital City Improvement Project budget, which was previously approved by the City Council. And there was a Measure M presentation, pre-recorded item, where we do have Mr. Michael Wolf again. Any speakers on this item?
Mayor Zaragoza, there are no speakers virtually or in person for this item.
Council members, any? Okay, we'll start off with Tehran, and then we go with Oscar.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Wolf. Just a couple quick questions on this. Do we have just a ballpark on how long some of these courts have been in need of replacement?
So I think for some of those details, we can bring up our project manager, KJ May. He may have some of that information.
Is he here? Okay.
Jesse. Okay. Maybe somebody from our Culture and Community Services has that information.
Thank you.
Okay.
Good evening, Mayor Zaragoza, council members. I know there was some previous work done, I believe in the 90s, but to get the exact time, it's been a while since we looked into resurfacing, and but the courts definitely have some wear and tear and cracks on the courts that we've been trying to find a repair for quite some time.
Thank you. And I asked because I recall when I was on the Parks and Rec Commission in 2017 through 21, I believe it was probably 2018 when we did a tour and saw, I believe it's two of the courts that did have some significant cracking and were in need of repair. And I believe the estimate back then just to do those two courts was well into the six-figure range. And so this cost here that we have isn't surprising at all. But what also occurred to me during that tour and having visited the center since then in recent months is that they are active and there are folks who use them regularly, and there is a contracted entity there who provides services there for folks who come in and use the tennis center. And to hear that we have two courts that are essentially unusable because of the cracking and the ball doesn't fly correctly or it bounces back at you when it's not supposed to, we're almost cheating ourselves out of serving the public or those who were going to use the tennis courts. But also in the past, it seemed that there used to be tournaments and league play and things there that we're going to be having less ability to do when we have courts that are essentially unusable. So I ask about the length of time because this is another example of amenities and facilities we have in the city that certainly are really great facilities, but through deferred maintenance over time, we now have to pay to remediate that and fix them. But it also shows just how long they've waited as part of the general fund, or ARPA in this case. The general fund's not even picking this up to be able to repair these. And so I appreciate staff's work on this. I know it's been a long time coming. I appreciate the folks who use the tennis centers. Diligence and advocacy for it, because again, it's another amenity, another facility that folks deserve to use in the city of Oxnard. And again, if it weren't for ARPA, I appreciate that we have some ability to do this, but who knows how much longer we'd have to wait. So thank you.
Councilor Madrigal.
Sorry, my apologies. Jesse Tapia, Community Services Manager.
Thank you, Jess. Okay, Councilmember, you might have a question for Jess?
Oh, no, just a quick comment. Thank you. I know this is a long time coming. I know as a kid, going to that park, not using the tennis courts, using the playground, but different story. The aspect of it is finally to get done, and it's gonna be wonderful. So hopefully, maybe this time next year, people will be using it and being there. So, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Councilor Perrello?
Yes, I see a member of the public in the audience, Mr. Blattel, who's always advocated for this. It sounds like a good deal. I'd just like to put this out for open. When you look at the newspaper and you hear about the latest trick thing going around, pickleball is a big deal. Is there any thought that this could be a dual use without having to expend a lot more money? Kill two birds with one stone, possibly?
Yes, good evening. My name is KJ May, project manager for this project. That is correct. The idea of the design build project is to make the existing 8 courts into a combination of both pickleball courts and also tennis courts, and based on the public demand. So we did reach out to recreation department and ask for feedback, and came up with the ideal number of combination for the pickleball courts and tennis courts. And so we still have to go through the design process, and after we design it, and we'll have a solid number for the final design.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Mm-hmm.
So one thing I would add, and KJ mentioned it at the very end, this is not our traditional design bid build process. This is a design build process, and so we don't technically have the final design. We've given them some bridging documents and some documents about what we want, but this is a delivery method that the city hasn't used a lot, hasn't used since I've been here. I'm not sure prior to me, but I'm actually very excited about this process because I think it leads to lots of pros in terms of being able to have a speedier delivery of the process, and we still get the community to have input on the design as well.
Great, thank you. Okay, we need a motion.
So moved.
Motion by Councilor Perrello, second by Valenzuela, or Turan, okay. Perrello, Turan. Roll call.
Councilmember Basua?
Aye.
Councilmember Madrigal?
Aye.
Councilmember Perrello?
Yes.
Councilmember Turan?
Yes.
Councilmember Valenzuela?
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem McDonald?
Aye.
Mayor Zaragoza?
Aye.
Thank you. Motion carries 7-0.
Thank you, Michael. Okay, item number 4, Public Works, subject Third Amendment of Agreement A8248 with Moore Lacofano, Godsman, I hope I can pronounce that correctly, for the landscape architect and engineering design for the campus park activity. And by the way, Mayor Pro Tem, you have a conflict on this one?
I do. I live within 150 feet of the project, so I'm going to recuse myself.
Okay,
Thank
so
you.
we will see you in the back room. So the recommendation here is that City Council approve and authorize the mayor to, 1, execute a Third Amendment with Moore Alofano Goldsman, is that correct? I hope I'm pronouncing that correct.
We just call them MIG, Mayor.
Okay, MIG, okay, MIG. Okay, execute a Third Amendment with MIG in the amount of $180,325,077 for the new not to exceed $1,280,264.52 to perform landscape architect design services for campus park activation project number 20-95, and to authorize the $65,000 budget appropriation and corresponding transfer in revenue in the same amount capital outlay 301 and campus park activity project C2104, funded from a transfer existing FY 24-25 General Fund 101 appropriation. This item did not originate in committee and this is a capital improvement project specifically listed in the city capital improvement project budget, which was previously approved by the city council. And this is a pre-recorded item under Measure M. And we do have Mr. Michael here for any additional questions. Any questions?
I have a comment.
Comment? Go.
I just want to bring attention to the agenda today. We've got playgrounds going in. We've got tennis courts being redesigned, and now you're bringing Campus Park to us. So I just want to make sure that people understand that this agenda is just packed with things that are impacting our community in a good way. So thank you. I just want to make sure I bring that out and that we recognized all the hard work that's happening.
And I think this is really important because a lot of people are concerned about that, having new parks, new streets, and new activities. This is really, really good news. Any additional comments on this item? If not, we need a motion. Oh, I'm
Excuse
sorry,
me,
Councilman
Mayor.
Teran?
Mayor
speakers?
Zaragoza, that we have no speakers virtually or in person for this item.
Thank you, thank you. Councilman Teran?
Thank you, Mayor. I know that this is an amendment to our agreement with MIG, and we're looking at the second recommendation there. But I'm just hoping, just for the public record and folks have it, if we could just summarize what we have in front of us with regard to Campus Park and some of the amenities that we're looking at adding there. I believe on slide number 4, under the background section, there's a list there, if we wouldn't mind just listing some of the things folks can expect to see at Campus Park.
Yeah, so good question, because we actually have a couple phases of Campus Park. And so what we're technically talking about right now is our activation phase. It's been in design, close to being finished, been through permitting. And as you noticed in the staff report, we did identify the fact that we got another grant as well. So if you recall, 6 or 8 months ago, we came to council and suggested to go after this grant that may add a little more timeline to the project, but there was a decent amount of funding gap in the phase 1 activation phase that we felt like we needed to go after this additional grant money. So the project as a whole is the activation and the installation of the Campus Park at the location, and all phases were considered as part of the original design. So when we submitted the grant application, it included things like a bicycle pump track and a skate park and a playground and basketball courts and amphitheaters and multi-use fields and meadows and community gardens, public art, walking trails, stormwater improvements, lighting, landscaping. So there's quite a bit of amenities that are included in the park project. But again, I want to emphasize that not all of them are part of phase 1. And so we do have actual grant money for phases 2 and phases 3 as well. We need to get phase 1 going. This staff report in front of you, as you mentioned, is really a amendment to our design team. We had to do additional design work during the plan check process, and so that really is the item for council's consideration tonight.
Michael, we have consultants up from MIG. Do they want to share anything?
Sure, we do. We do have our project manager from MIG. They're on, and we have our folks from M6 who have helped us out from.
Do you guys want to share any additional information for our city council?
Sure, I'd be happy to. My name is Evan Mather. I'm a principal with MIG. It's more Isofano Goldsman, and I don't always get it right either, but we go by MIG.
MIG's
This is a fantastic project. We're so happy to be working on it with the city of Oxnard. Been great partners on this, and we're so looking forward to getting it constructed, the activation phase. But this is going to create great amenities for the community of Oxnard with inclusive play areas, pump track, skate park, a Pelota Mixteca court, new walking trails, a pavilion, and then new native landscaping and lighting throughout. So it's going to be a great asset to the community, and we're really looking forward to moving into the next phase and seeing it constructed.
Thank you so much. Any additional comments from your other folks with you there? If not, then Michael, Any additional information on this item? It's a great item. Campus Park needs it, you know. I know it's going to be great once we finish it, you know.
No more information from us, Mr. Mayor.
Councilman Duran, any additional?
No, I just appreciate all the work that continues to go into it, and thank you for sharing the information as well as a reminder that we are doing this in phases, and we are on the cusp of phase one, heading into the activation phase here. So thank you. With that, if there are no other comments from my colleagues or from the public, I'll move the recommended action.
Okay, moved by Duran, second by Basua. Roll call.
Councilmember Basua.
Aye.
Councilmember Madrigal.
Aye.
Councilmember Perillo.
Yes.
Councilmember Turan.
Yes.
Councilmember Valenzuela.
Aye.
Mayor Zaragoza.
Aye.
Motion carries. We have 6 yeses, 0 nos, and 1 recusal by Mayor Pro Tem McDonald.
And thank you to MIG, and also thank you, Michael. Thank you. Okay, where's the Mayor Pro Tem? Our last item here is Public Works, the annual purchase order, SWARCO, McCain Incorporated, for traffic signal equipment, for traffic signal modernization. Recommendation the City Council approve and authorize the purchasing agent to execute a purchase order with SWARCO, McCain Incorporated, for not to exceed the amount of $3,120,000 for a term of 3 years for specific traffic signal equipment and citywide signalization intersection. This item did not originate in committee, and this is a capital item project specifically listed in the City Capital Improvement Program budget, which was previously approved by the City Council. And this is a pre-recorded Measure M item, and we have, again, Michael Wolf, and we do have a speaker on this item, and there's Ray Platel.
Thank you and good evening.
Good evening.
Mayor Pro Tem, City Council, City staff. I sent a series of questions on November the 12th to traffic engineering and just received a response about a little hour and a half ago. So I really haven't got a really good chance to think about it, but I have a lot more questions. In your agenda packet, there's like 3 pages of items with costs for each. And I want to know if you know what you're really getting for the $3 million, because I don't. I was told in the response to my questions that they're buying a flex controller. They're going to replace some outdated controllers, replace or upgrade some signals in the field. That doesn't tell me a lot. I mean, there's 3 pages of items. Like, I don't know what you're going to get for that $3 million. And I would ask city traffic engineer to meet with me at their convenience, because I'd like to know in detail how this system's supposed to work. Because here's some of my thoughts. It seems to me that most of the traffic signals in the city are timer-based controlled. The agenda packet mentioned controller system software and push-button technology and programmable software and firmware. Does this mean that the operator would be able to easily manipulate the timing of the city traffic signal controllers? And what external sensory input will those controllers use other than the keyboard? And what will it do with the information from these external sensors? And what decisions would be made? I just basically want to know how this system is going to work, and will it support actual real-time traffic-sensitive control of the traffic signals? For example, the responsive to real-time traffic conditions. That's what it's supposed to do. If it doesn't do that, it's not an intelligent traffic control system. I just want to know if you're really getting what we think you are. So if traffic engineering would meet with me at their convenience, whenever they want, whichever day, I would like to discuss with them. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I'm sure that the traffic engineer can probably meet Mr. Wolf, any response to Mr. Patel's request?
Maybe put this into perspective of what this item is. It's a purchase order item. So I'll give you some examples. So let's say that there is a collision that happens at an intersection and damages one of our existing controllers. We potentially will use this purchase order to purchase the replacement controller. So the comment about exactly what are we going to use this for, I think, is a little misunderstanding of the process that we have here. So another example would be, let's say we have an intersection that has an outdated 1980s, 1990s controller that needs to be updated, that doesn't have the same capabilities as some of the new controllers do now. We would use this purchase order to purchase a replacement for that controller. And so again, this is not a purchase order for a very specific location. This is an annual purchase order over multiple years that allows us to purchase equipment that is necessary for us to either continue to maintain or enhance our traffic control system. And I also say, as some of the committee members heard last week, we had an ITS update. I think there's some misunderstanding of what the ITS is and what it's for, and the capabilities that it currently has right now. So we do have the ability during an event, let's say there's a road closure that may occur, we have the ability to go to our traffic management center and make some adjustments to some of our controllers as long as they are connected to our system. We have the ability to do signal coordination across corridors, and that is an element of ITS. So happy to sit down with Mr. Patel and go over the information as necessary, but that'd be my response.
So Michael, this funding is as needed, potentially?
That's correct. And so we may pick a corridor that is coming up for a corridor study. We may look at that corridor and may say, hey, we have 10 controllers, 2 of which are very old. So let's go ahead and replace those 2 old controllers so that we have more capability with the new controllers. That's, again, one option that we would use this purchase order for. The other option, like I mentioned earlier, would be if there was a collision that may have occurred that damaged one of our controllers, we would potentially use this purchase order to purchase a replacement for that. So those are some examples.
So you'll meet with Mr. Patel. Councilman Duran.
Thank you, Mayor. And thank you for the explanation on that. I did have a question that I was going to ask, but I'll get to that in just a moment. I would imagine that if we were to liken this to other very similar routine items we have in regards to purchase orders, many departments have a blanket purchase order with Amazon where you have a not to exceed amount for the fiscal period or for within a budgeted amount. And then you spend down that amount until you get to the end of fiscal year, and then whatever's left over is left over, or you reach the not to exceed amount and you have to ask for, okay, we need to expand that because of ABC, XYZ. But we, in approving such a purchase order, don't say you're going to buy 10 boxes of paper clips. They're going to go on so-and-so's desk and so-and-so's desk. You're going to purchase, this many door hangers for people's offices. It's as needed as a blanket purchase order. The question I did have is regarding sole source. And as a sole source purchase as a mechanism, if you wouldn't mind, and I don't want to put Public Works Director on the spot here because I know we have our CFO and our city manager and assistant city manager here. But if we wouldn't mind just sharing about sole source purchases and why we would go with that mechanism for this type of purchase.
So the sole source purchase for this one is pretty straightforward. It's compatibility with our existing controllers. And so to the extent that we have, through the ITS master plan, has identified these controllers as our bases of control, we want to have the ability to have compatibility across our controllers. And so the idea here is, take 2, let's just maybe use Android and Apple, right? They don't talk to each other. So at some point in time, somebody's got to pick, do we want Apple or do we want Android? And so in order for our controllers to work integrated, we have picked through the Intelligent Transportation System Master Plan, we have picked this to be our controller. So we have the ability through our purchasing policy for compatibility purposes to go ahead and use a sole source process for this. I think I covered that correctly. I don't know if Steve wanted to add anything in addition to that.
He's shaking his head no. That was good. And I think I appreciate the analogy also because when we have Android and Apple products, in this particular case, let's say that the city went with Apple products, or excuse me, with Android, that would probably mean that we have a sole source contract with Samsung to provide phone cases and to provide software updates and et cetera, et cetera. And because Apple can't provide that for us, nor can Windows or Microsoft or anybody that's specific to that system and the products that they sell that are compatible with what we've chosen to be the infrastructure for this use.
Right, and I use that as an easy example, but obviously from a traffic controller standpoint, it's more complex because there's firmware and software associated with that. So some traffic controllers can run multiple different types of software systems. So again, it's very complex in its nature, but I wanted to try to make a simple analogy there. So
appreciated. And we have hardware, which we were talking about here in the examples given. So, all right, thank you. And the last thing I'll say on this is since getting on council, I have learned a lot more about traffic engineering than I thought I'd ever learn in my life. And the more I dive into it, the more excited and interested I get in it. And so I just really appreciate this coming forward. And as you had mentioned, I think the public can't see it until they learn about it. Just how we have some controllers and some signal heads and hardware in our city that dates back quite a ways, where we've had upgraded infrastructure elsewhere. And this is kind of a rolling upgrade or a rolling update to the hardware that we have, as well as how they run. And just the same as, if I had my computer still from 2002, it may still turn on and work, but it's going to not run on the things as time goes on. It can't run Windows on it in some video games and things. And so I'd imagine as time goes on, it's similar for our traffic infrastructure. Is that correct?
Yeah, so we're trying to stay away from the glitches. Our interim traffic engineer and I were having a conversation today. And so we some of those older systems, some of those older hardware systems may not work with some of the newer conflict monitoring components that we have. So yeah, we want to make sure that our traffic signals are as reliable as possible, because they're obviously a very safety-oriented system. And so making sure that we have integration across all the hardware, firmware, and software is important for us. And that, as you mentioned, those types of electronic devices, the example you gave was a computer, they often get updated and not supported going backwards.
Yes, all right. Those are my questions. Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Mr. Wolf.
Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just want to make a couple general comments. And my understanding of traffic engineering is pretty much nil. Other than my philosophy is, if I drive down a road that has a 35-mile-an-hour posted speed limit, and I want to get from point A to point B on that road, that if I travel 35 miles an hour, I'm lucky to get all green lights, and usually that happens. And that's the way I understand traffic engineering, is to make the free movement of traffic, obeying all the regulations, as easy as possible. And I think a lot of people don't understand that sometimes there are glitches in our system. Right now, Camino del Sol and Rose, there's a nice signal there, but we don't own it yet, we don't control it. And so we're dependent on someone else's control of that signal to mesh with our signal system. So far, it seems to work pretty well. The only other glitch I've seen periodically is when the railroad arms come down. Usually at Gonzales and Oxnard Boulevard at the busiest time of the day, it throws all the signals out of kilter because of the way that it's programmed, and it's just a challenge. But generally, when I get on a large road or a large thoroughfare and drive at the posted speed limit, I can get across this town in a fairly quick progress rate without being stuck for periods of time. So I think overall we're doing a very good job, and I just want to thank you and your staff, for the programming and all the things that you do, that people don't realize the intricacies of that type of system. And the reason we go to it is supposed to be more reliable than human thought processes. So thank you. I think we're doing a very good job.
Thank you so much. I know your assistant. Do you want to share anything? I know you've been.
Sure. Do you have anything you want to add, Calca?
If not, thank you for your good work, or do you want to share a couple of words?
Good evening, Mayor, council members. My name is Kaukab Saeed. I'm the interim city traffic engineer. And I just want to highlight that besides the as-need that we are going to be using this purchase order for, I do have plans for upgrading corridors, and especially important corridors that we cannot afford for them to reach their lifespan and then fall apart. So we're trying to be ahead of the curve in being proactive in upgrading our equipment, especially that is going to come from this purchase orders. And I thank you for your support as well.
Thank you. That's so important that we have the proper engineering. I know that Mayor Pro Tem mentioned about the traffic signalization timing. I've traveled from North Oxnard to Wainimi. I think it's about 39, 40 miles an hour. If you can, and they're all green, which is really fantastic, so. And
I have a question, but it looks like Mr. Vattel want to ask something.
Well, he
but
spoke already.
He's been very, Mayor, I would suggest, because the gentleman, what I'm going to say he may not like. If you have a question? Okay.
Because
All
I
right,
know
I'll
you
go
want to talk
ahead.
to the engineer. Go ahead.
Mr. Wolf, with respect to when you said when you talked about a corridor, can you define a corridor?
Sure, I'll give you some examples. So Ventura Road from city limits south to city limits north, that would be a corridor that we would define as a roadway corridor. Oxnard Boulevard, again, city limits south, city limits north. Gonzales, east-west, city limits east, city limits west. Those would be typical corridors that we would refer to from a traffic engineering standpoint.
Okay. And I appreciate Mr. Blattel's questions as a member of the public, and he asks good questions sometimes, but one of the questions that kind of struck me was, do I know how it's going to work? I see this presentation is prepared by Mr. Morgan Kessler, and madam, I apologize for the pronunciation of your name, but if you could say it for us one more time.
You need to practice.
Thank you very much.
It's COCAB.
And I see by them titled City Engineer and Senior Engineer. These are skilled positions. These are not people that walk off the street and, apply for a job. These are skilled positions. The report put together by skilled position people, overseen by the Public Works Director, another skilled position, and there's a degree, as a council member, you have to put trust in the people that work for you. They know what they're doing. Now, does the system work, and do I understand how the systems work? I'm sitting here, and the whole time I'm thinking, I'm not good with the computer, as Mr. Turan mentioned, and you mentioned, Mr. Wolf. Now I even forget what it's called. The two different kinds, Apple and whatever the hell the other one's called. But I am skilled with this. At a time, Chevrolet had 6 lug wheels and Ford had 5. You couldn't intermix them. It didn't work. And I also know that you work with a skilled person and you trust what they tell you till you get burned. And it just comes to mind, there was a movie called Tommy Boy. And the movie Tommy Boy, they discussed about buying a steak. And that's what I'm thinking about this. Do I want to check how Tommy Boy suggested, or do I want to trust the butcher? I'm looking at this, and we have professionals that put this report together, and I trust the professionals. No disrespect to the public comment, but when I look through all of the, as he mentioned, 3 pages, if it was sitting in front of me, I couldn't tell you which one of the items were, but I know that the people that work in this department know what they are, or they wouldn't be working here. So I support this item. If there's any further comments, when it comes time, I'll make the motion to support this. I do appreciate the public's comment, but I'm trying to get across, there comes a time when the doctor says, I need a heart transplant. I'm not going to question, what did he see, what did it say? You either believe him or you don't believe him. Hopefully I don't need a heart transplant tonight.
Michael, any digital information?
Yeah, you're not going to need one from us, but I just wanted to mention, I think Councilman Perrella makes a great point. Calkeb, she's a licensed engineer in multiple states, licensed civil engineer. She also has a PhD, and so very trusted in terms of her technical knowledge. She came to us from the Virginia Department of Transportation, and so she has a lot of great experience. And as you know, Morgan Kessler and myself are also licensed civil engineers. So appreciate the fact that part of what we do on a day-to-day basis is these things.
Thank you. So she can get together with Mr. Patel. So we need a motion on this item?
There's No further comments. I'll make the motion to support.
Motion by Perrello.
Second.
Second by Turan. Roll call. No additional speakers, right, Madam Clerk?
Mayor Zaragoza, there are no additional speakers for this item.
Thank you. Roll call.
Councilmember Pasua,
Aye.
Councilmember Madrigal,
Aye.
Councilmember Perrello,
Yes.
Councilmember Turan,
Yes.
Councilmember Valenzuela,
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem McDonald,
Aye.
Mayor Zaragoza.
Aye.
Thank you. Motion carries 7-0.
Thank you so much, and that's our last item. We are adjourned. Thank you.